Hello, I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN. I'll be your host for a special television series that will be focusing on education in Lee County, Spotlight on Education. Spotlight on Education will air every Thursday evening at 7:30 and be repeated again on Fridays at 9 p.m. Today we're at the new Tramway Elementary School, and we're going to be taking a look at a very special program that involves volunteers and students. The program is called HOST, Helping One Student to Succeed. Here today are a group of students and mentors together with the two individuals who are responsible for the program, Sharon Brown and Claire Pickett. Mentors and students are working one-on-one. The mentors are taking time out of their lives to help students improve their ability to read, as well as other aspects of the educational process. We'll take a moment and talk to one of the students and a mentor. Good morning. Ben, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Good. And Ben, your mentor is Pauline. Is that correct? How are you, Pauline?
Fine.
It's a pleasure to have you two join us this morning. Thank you for taking time out of your reading to talk about the HOST program. Ben, how long have you been involved in the HOST program?
All year.
All year?
Yes.
Is it fun?
Yes.
So you get to come out of your classroom for 30 minutes? Is it every day?
Except Friday.
Except Friday. That's good. Pauline, how did you come to be involved in the HOST program?
Well, I have two granddaughters that comes out here, and so I decided I'd volunteer in the HOST program was the one they had out here, so I came with them.
Well, that's excellent. Pauline, as you've been working, have you worked with Benjamin during this whole year? Good.
Yes.
What kind of changes do you see in a child as you work with them?
They make a great improvement from the beginning up to now.
That's great. So, Benjamin, or Ben, I'm sorry, I keep calling you Benjamin. Ben, what's your favorite part of the HOST program?
That I get to learn stuff.
Do you like the individual attention?
Yes.
Well, that's good. Tell me, what are the typical activities that you do when you come in here?
I'll usually read my book and do my word problems, which I'm doing now, and then I would play a game or do something like that if I still had time.
So it sounds like it's making learning a lot of fun.
It is.
Well, that's great. We're going to take a short little break now, and we'll be back in a few moments.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Hey kids, want a free pizza? If you're in grades K through 8, you can participate in the Get a B, Get It Free program at Pizza Inn. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Just make 2 B's or higher on your report card in math, science, language arts, or social studies. 2. Get this certificate from your homeroom teacher. And 3. Bring it to participating Pizza Inn restaurants. You'll get a free individual-sized one-topping pizza and a drink. Get a B, get it free. That's Pizza Interest in Education. For Pizza Out, it's Pizza Inn.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds, Pontiac, GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Everyone plays a part when it comes to school bus safety. Keeping our kids safe takes teamwork. Parents, A trusted adult should be at the bus stop every morning and afternoon. Kids, always stay out of the road. Make sure you can see the bus driver's eyes. And when you get on or off, wait for the bus to stop.
And drivers, when the bus stops, you stop.
Help protect our children.
It's a team effort.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN Christman, your host. We're at the Tramway Elementary School talking now to some teachers who have students involved in the host program. Joining me is Priscilla Gooch and Melanie Bowie. And Priscilla, I understand you're with the third grade class, but last year you were very involved, or you had students very involved in the host program. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and Melanie, you have students this year in the program.
Right.
One of the things that I would like to know is, as teachers with a regular full curriculum, you have students who are leaving the classroom and, you know, there must be some disruption with that. But is this program positive enough to offset that kind of disruption? Priscilla, what's been your experience?
Well, I think it's a positive program in that even though it is a disruption, the kids are coming and they're getting some extra reading attention on their level, so they're having some success, and they're happy to come, they're excited about it, and they're happy when they come back.
Well,
I think it's a good learning experience.
That sounds
for
positive, if the kids are happy.
them. Yes.
And Melanie, now how many students do you have leaving your class every day, or?
Monday through Thursday, I have 5 children that come to the host program, and it is a very successful program. The children my kids enjoy coming just like yours, and the key here is that they're reading one-on-one with a mentor, and as a classroom teacher, it is almost impossible to read with each student on their grade level, on their individual level each day, and so that is one of the greatest things about the host program is we have these dedicated mentors who come each week, and the children have this bond with them, and they get to read with them and their friends, and they get to talk and as well work and have success.
Well, that's great. One of the things that Priscilla mentioned is that the kids were happy when they come back to class. Yes. Do you think this has a positive impact on their self-esteem?
Definitely, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, well that's good. Well, as you watch the kids, how do you make the selection, or are you involved in the selection of students who become involved in the program, Priscilla?
Well, basically, the host instructors, they do testing with the students, and they look at those test results, and then they talk with us as teachers.
Okay, and I understand, Priscilla, that you were actually trained in the host program at some point in the past, a year ago or two?
About 2 years ago, because I did work with Title I for 4 years.
Does that help you as a teacher to be able to better spot students that might need a little extra help?
Yes, it's a big plus.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking time with us today and talking about this program. Hopefully we'll find more people in the community who will be interested in coming out and joining. Ms. Pickett was telling me that since the move to Tramway, that they actually have an opportunity for 30 or 40 more mentors to come and join the program. So that sounds excellent. Well, thank you very much again for your time. And we'll take another short break. Be back in a few minutes.
Hey kids, want a free pizza? If you're in grades K through 8, you can participate in the Get a B, Get It Free program at Pizza Inn. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Just make 2 B's or higher on your report card in math, science, language arts, or social studies. 2. Get this certificate from your homeroom teacher. And 3. Bring it to participating Pizza Inn restaurants. You'll get a free individual-sized 1-topping pizza and a drink. Get a B, get it free. That's Pizza Interest in Education. For Pizza Out, it's Pizza Inn.
So, you're looking to buy a new home, or find a professional to sell your home. Well, look here in Homes and Land magazine, where you'll find every type of home under the sun. or moon, as the case may be. We have pink houses, we have green houses, white houses. You get the picture. Anyway, if you're looking for a house to get in, no, this one's out. Thank you. Look for yourself in Homes and Land magazine, where America looks for homes. It's free. Pick one up today.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Can we help?
A smoke detector can save your life and the lives of your family. Check your batteries today. A message from the North Carolina Department of Crime Control and Public Safety.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN, your host. Joining me now at the Tramway Elementary School as we talk about the HOST program, Helping One Student to Succeed, is Claire Pickett and Sharon Brown. They're responsible for the program here at Tramway, and I guess this is the only HOST program in the county. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Well, welcome to our classroom, Vivan.
Thank you.
We usually see you on Thursdays. You're one of our great mentors in Help One Student to Succeed. And yes, we are proud to say that we are the only HOST program in Lee County so far. There are, however, I think it is over 60,000 children being served by HOST nationally.
Wow.
It is a national program, and it is in 1,000 schools nationwide, including Tramway Elementary, our new school, which just opened 2 weeks ago. Very proud of the program. As I said, we have, I think it's probably 150 mentors coming in from the community now to serve our children.
Wow. How long does each mentor spend per week with a child?
Okay, well, HOST works this way. For many of you know this, but each day the children come to the HOST room at the same time, Monday through Thursday, and they meet with an adult from the community for a half an hour at the same time each day. Each day they come, it's a different person. So on Mondays, Susan or Billy might meet with one of the police officers from the community police. On Tuesday, he might meet with you, a private businessman. On Wednesdays, it could be a grandmother or a parent of a Tramway student. And on Thursdays, it could be someone from a larger business like Tryon, Alltel, BB&T, or one of our other business people that come in for us to the program.
Okay, good. Sharon, if I may ask you a couple of questions. Okay. How did you come to be involved with the HOST program?
Well, I applied for a job the year before last year, and Mr. Jackson called me back and he said, I have the perfect job for you. And he was right. And I really love it. It's a good experience as a parent, you know, to see the problems that, not really problems, but the difficulties that children have reading. It really helps me as far as being a parent. And as an aspiring educator, you know, I'm learning a lot and I really enjoy the opportunity.
What's the biggest change you see in children?
That's a good question. I think because of society and the way the world is now, children have a tendency to rush more. Mm-hmm. They don't really slow down to smell the roses, so to speak, and I think HOST helps with that a lot because the children do have one-on-one and they do slow down. They get a chance to really talk and think about the book and this kind of thing. It's not rush, rush, rush.
Well, that's good. That does seem to make a difference in the background.
Oh, yes.
Those of you in our audience may be able to hear some students reading with their mentors as they're going through their books and polishing their skills.
Yes.
Let me ask a couple of other questions. Claire, as you look at this program and as you dream about the future, where would you like to see the host program go? Where do you think it can go in our community?
Well, excuse me. I think host could go as far as we want it to go in Lee County. I think we're off to a wonderful start. Thanks to Mr. Gary Jackson, who was the innovator of hosts in Lee County. 3 years ago, we began at Jonesboro School. I believe they began with about 30 students, and a huge recruiting effort was put into place. Full-time recruiter was hired and so forth. A big undertaking, but it was done. I think a lot of people thought it might not be done, but with a lot of positive, forward-looking thinking, a lot of optimism and determination. I think that's really the heart of hosts. It was put into place. And each year we have experienced great success in the program. Each and every year, and we are in our 3rd year now, we have been not voted, but we have been evaluated as an exemplary program by the National Host Corporation. This year, we were given the highest award that Host gives to an individual program, which is the National Recognition Award. We're so proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And of course, this award is given to the mentors because the mentors are really the core of this program. All of these people from Lee County who have been serving the children over the past 3 years share in the excitement over this award. As far as the program growing, I think it could really take off. There are areas in the Southwest, in California, school districts that have as many as 8 to 10 host programs within a district. This could happen here, I think, with the effort and with the community spirit in Lee County. I'm not from Lee County originally. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I have been thoroughly impressed with the responsibility that people take for their children in Lee County. It is amazing. Many of the churches are involved. The Lions Club has been a wonderful supporter of hosts. Many of the businesses, as I said before, Tryon, Alltel, Central Electric, Cascade Fibers, Moen, BB&T, many of our real estate agents, Paul Utley, Carolyn Fiacco, there are many of them. Of course, in naming names, I risk leaving people out, but it is an impressive effort in this county.
Claire, are you more constrained at this point by a limited number of mentors or a limited number of students, or are you limited by the school system in being able to grow?
I don't feel that we have any limits. I feel that as host instructor, I have been given a free rein to make this program work. I think that's one of the strengths of working with Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Joanne Inman, who is the host facilitator. I feel as though Sharon and I have been given the freedom to make the program work for the children. We recruit people all the time. We always need mentors. It's an ever-changing palette of mentors, and we always need people. In order for hosts to continue succeeding, we will need mentors to be added to the program at all times. Sometimes people say, do you need mentors, Claire? And my answer is we always need mentors. And mentoring is a wonderful thing. It is a two-way experience.
That it truly is. Working with these children, as you mentioned, I have the opportunity to work with them on Thursday mornings. One child, and it is an incredible experience in getting close to someone, and you think 30 minutes a week, can I really form a bond to make a difference? And in fact, it happens, and it happens very quickly. And you know, we have a rapport that goes on between us, so it's a lot of fun.
Doesn't it?
Neat experience.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a mentor who has been dissatisfied. Sometimes people are a little bit apprehensive, just like you are with any new experience the first time, but the minute the mentor is put with the child for that half an hour, that first half an hour, the magic takes place, the magic that is host, and afterwards they're ours.
Let me go in a slightly different direction. One of the things that I've observed, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, is the sense of excitement that these kids have for being a part of host, and the fact that they feel very special in coming in here. I remember in my own education, I was a student that had a lot of difficulty. And anything that looked like it was, we use the word remedial help, had such a negative social stigma that, you know, I didn't want to be a part of it, and most kids didn't. And yet, you know, these are children who may be having a challenge, and yet they love this.
Right.
What is it that you do that has caused that to happen?
Well, as you say, there is no stigma about hosts. Actually, quite the contrary.
Yes.
It's very positive. Being in house is quite a special, cool thing to the kids. That they love it, and there's nothing negative about hosts. I don't know, Sharon. What could you add to that? What do you think makes the kids love it so much?
I personally think it's the fact that there's someone coming to school to see them, to help them, their own special person, and it's a thrill for them. They're really excited in the mornings when you go. They're scurrying to put their books up to get ready to come. I think it's just it's someone for them that's taking the time and making the effort to come see just them.
That's interesting. I think we, as you mentioned earlier, Sharon, that we often forget what a hustle-bustle world we're in, and it's a moment where it slows down. We're going to take a break now for a few moments. We'll be right back.
Keep my mind on higher things.
This is music that fills your heart.
God is in control.
This is music that matters.
His children will not be forsaken.
Feel the power of Keep the Faith, the ultimate collection of contemporary Christian hits featuring all your favorite artists. Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Looking for a reason.
Michael W. Smith.
Roaming through the night to find my place in this world. My place in this world. The anchor holds.
Ray Bolts.
Here in my heart there's a refuge.
Get Keep the Faith on 2 CDs or 2 cassettes for just $12.95.
Shall we gather at the river of forgiveness? Come together at the waters of love. Oh, yes, I guess.
Then audition other Keep the Faith albums. There's no minimum to buy. Cancel anytime. Over 750,000 CDs and cassettes have already been sold. Start your Keep the Faith collection today. Call now.
To order Keep the Faith, use your credit card or personal check and call now, or send $12.95 for 2 CDs or 2 cassettes plus shipping and handling to Keep the Faith, 400 South Beverly Drive, Suite 420, Beverly Hills, California 90212. Accept no imitations. There's only one Keep the Faith collection.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. Today we're talking about the HOST program, helping one student to succeed. What you're seeing now is some of the materials that are put together by the HOST program to help mentors work with these students. It makes it very simple. I'm joined now with Guy Boger. And Guy,
you got it.
You
got it, David.
I understand you're a new mentor.
Well,
with
right.
the HOST program.
This is the second time I've done this, and the students have helped me get through it. And I've had 2 bright young men that have done just great. I'm afraid if Clara hadn't given me some more difficult students, I might not have done so well. But it's most enjoyable.
Good. If I may ask you just a little bit about the materials for others who might be thinking about becoming mentors. The materials make it easy. Could you tell a little bit about what's in the packet?
Yes, and I might add this comment. If I can do it, nobody else needs to worry about having any problems with it.
Well, thank you, Guy.
But we start off with a great little book that we read, and the students, if they struggle with one word, we go back over it and work on that, and it's then we have a game that we play. Sometimes we don't get to that game. Last week I got to the game and I lost every time. You see what it takes. But in this folder is everything you need. Mrs. Pickett has and her assistant has made this thing as easy for people like me as you could get it.
Guy, tell me about the word bank.
Well, I'm still working on the word bank. The word bank, if they stumble across a word, we'll letter that, and we don't print it, we letter it on the back of a bill, and we go over that word. At least that's what I've been doing. I guess it's right. We've been going over that word. When they get it right, they get so many pluses. And then when they get all those, 6 pluses, they put it on there.
All right. We are out of time for today, and I would like to thank all of our audience and all the guests who have joined with us today to talk about the HOST program. I'm VIVAN Christman, your host for Spotlight on Education. Look forward to seeing everyone next week. Thank you. Hello, I'm VIVAN Christman, your host for Spotlight on Education. Each week, we'll take time to spotlight a different individual involved in Lee County's educational system. Our objective is not to cover the latest news. There are a lot better forums for doing that. Our objective here at Spotlight on Education is to try to put the human face on education. Education is the greatest social investment that we in this country and this county are involved in. Join me now as we talk to Paige Murphy, who is the principal at West Lee Middle School. Welcome.
Hey.
Paige, I'd like to kind of get started today by finding out a little bit about you personally, how you came to be involved in education and something about your background that led you to Lee County and eventually to your position in the Lee County Middle School.
Okay. I grew up as an Army brat. My dad was in the Army. We traveled around a lot and had a lot of just a wide variety of experiences, living in different places, learning different things, and just hung around people that was always interested in learning and education, and that became a strong force in my life. As I went to college, we went to college in Chapel Hill at UNC Carolina, and my wife and I both went there, and we decided we'd get married and try to live close to Chapel Hill, because once you've been there, that's where you want to stay. And so we came to Sanford and kind of had the idea we'd be here for a few years, but liked it a lot and been here since '77.
So did you start out in teaching, or were you involved in administration from the beginning?
No, I started out as a teacher assistant with a special education class, and went and got my certification to start teaching and taught for about 8 years, and then went into administration as an assistant principal at the elementary level, then at what was then junior high level. And
now, has all of that been within Lee County?
Yes, yes.
So you've been here for your whole career?
Right.
Well, that's terrific. Tell us a little bit about your philosophies as a principal of a middle school.
I think that what I would like to convey to kids, to teachers, to parents, and to our community in general is how important education is, and how important it is not to just say let's budget or let's allocate a certain amount for it in terms of material things, resources, but the excitement for it. To me, that's what makes me go. That's what made me want to be in education, want to stay in education. And I see today a different attitude and I don't know if it always existed back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. I wasn't around then, but I see an attitude today that scares me somewhat. I've read reports that this current generation is probably the first generations in America's history to not be as well off as their parents, to actually have a lower standard of living for various reasons, the demand on technology and education. But I see a lot of people taking the attitude, I call it the recap attitude, or it's like tires for your car. It's something that you have to have. You put a minimum amount in there that's maybe safe and get you where you need to go, but I don't know many people that really get excited about buying tires for their car. Boy, I just got. And sometimes I think we do that with education in terms of the investments we make for the school buildings, for the salaries, for what kids put into their homework, and it goes all up and down.
I think, though, Paige, isn't that kind of human nature to spend the least amount possible on anything to get what we're trying to achieve?
I don't know if it's human nature for everything. The things that I'm interested in, I play guitar, and I'll sit down. My wife she was taking graduate courses. Actually, I was playing banjo at that time, and she'd take graduate courses, and so she'd leave about 7 o'clock, and I'd sit down for a few minutes to practice this song or whatever. And there were many nights that she'd come walking into the door 3 hours later, and I'm still sitting there practicing that same song. Maybe that same song, maybe some more. But I think we put effort and energy into what we like, what we're interested in, what we're passionate about. I'm passionate about learning of all kinds: banjo playing, space-time relativity physics, art, photography, music. I mean, just a lot of things that I have interest in. And so I put a lot of energy into it. I hate sleeping. It wastes time. I tell kids, I'm never bored. I'm never bored.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're rather eclectic in your learning and the things that your interests.
I've been called that and many other things. Yeah, I like a wide variety of things for sure.
All right, as a middle school principal, it seems like that's a difficult age for, a lot of children. They're kind of hitting puberty
We had that
about
reputation.
point and starting to stretch their wings a little bit. How do you tie your philosophy into the pragmatics there at Westley?
The difficulty that many of these, first thing you have to realize is that adolescents at this age they're like trying on clothes. When I was moving around to different places, there were different things you did, different things you said, different ways you acted. These kids move from group to group, people to people, friend to friend, class to class, year to year, and what you may see there is not. Sometimes you see things on the surface with this age kid. People go, "How do you work with them? They're obnoxious or something like that." But I think they're just trying on different clothes. They're trying out, how do I act? What do I do to be cool? What can I be interested in? What can I not be interested in? I think our society, back to you asked me some questions about my goals and whatever. Our society teaches kids what they can like and what they can't like, what is work and what is play. I've tried to find some basis for, like, how do you distinguish work and play? Is it biological? Is there some physical attribute? And the best I can come up with is attitude, that really things that are work for one may be play for another. I noticed that sixth graders get real involved. They participate. They're real excited. By the 8th grade, the kids are looking around at one another like, am I allowed to do this? Can I laugh at this joke? Can I sing this song? Can I perform in this lip sync? And so they looked at that peer pressure and that peer attitude. I think what we have to do as teachers and educators and parents and principals and community leaders is give the message to kids that learning is good stuff. Learning is good stuff.
Learning's cool.
Learning is cool. Used to, when I was growing up, if you made the A honor roll, that was something you could be proud of. You could have a bumper sticker or whatever. Nowadays, there's a lot of emphasis from the media. The Simpsons, the Beavis and Buttheads, the things that glorify being not intelligent or not liking learning, and that disturbs me, especially along with the kinds of reports that we get that this generation may not live up to their own expectations. There are, for instance, many reports that show that this generation states that I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I want to cure hunger. I want to cure diseases and what have you. But at the same time, it also states that, but they have no idea what it takes to get there. Just not used to the hard work and that sort of thing.
Right. We'll take a break for a moment to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back in a few moments to talk with Paige Murphy, the principal at West Lee Middle School, more about his philosophies and how he's trying to make a change or an impact on education here in Lee County. The Spotlight on Education is brought to you by Santa Lee Rotary Club. The Santa Lee Rotary Club is the youngest and the smallest of the 3 Rotary clubs in Lee County. And as with all Rotary clubs, as well as Rotary International, it is the objective of this group to put service above self, as they look for ways to improve the community here that we live in. As a club, the Santa Lee group has looked at hundreds of ways that they might be involved to improve the community. And we at Santa Lee made a decision that we wanted to focus our energies on education. In addition to sponsoring Spotlight on Education, the club also has several fundraising activities to benefit local educational interests. One of the things that you and the community can do, if you know someone who's involved in a service organization that's helping with our community, or who donates time or resources to improve our community, take time to say thanks to them. It's one of the things that every one of us can do to bring ourselves closer together and make this a greater community. We'll be back in just a moment after a word from our sponsors.
First Bank is very excited about bringing community banking back to Sanford. At First Bank, we offer a full array of traditional banking services, including mortgage loans, and are committed to providing quality one-on-one service. At First Bank, We feel as other institutions become larger, there's a real need for personal service, and we're committed to providing that need. I'm David Fischie. Come see me, Angela Poole, Pebble Kidd, Holly Duty, and Deborah Shackelford at our Spring Lane location.
When we began, it wasn't that wild an idea. Local farmers forming their own company, dedicated to raising and selling the finest, freshest chicken anywhere. A company still owned and operated by farmers today. Gold-Kissed Farms chicken is raised on only the finest feeds to be 100% natural with no additives. So if you want the best tasting chicken, we invite you to visit Gold-Kissed Farms. Tastes fresh from the farm, because it is.
Do you know why some people don't volunteer? Most say it's because they were never asked. Well, we're asking. Many men and women 55 years and older are serving in your area through the Senior Corps' RSVP program. RSVP matches your interests and skills to what needs to get done in your community. You've been thinking about helping out. Here's your opportunity. Call your local RSVP program today and help us get things done.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN Christman, your host. Joining me today is Paige Murphy, the principal of Westlea Middle School. Paige has been sharing with us some of his philosophies about education and the things that led him to become involved with and make his career in education and how he came to live here in Lee County. Paige, welcome back, and let's pick up from where we were discussing before. One of the things that you mentioned was about the good stuff, and I'd like to hear you pursue that a little bit further, and what you meant by that.
To me, learning and education is the good stuff of life. The mind, the human mind, is just such a fascinating thing, and the fact that we can learn, remember, know, and develop all the things that we can is just absolutely, it's incredibly amazing to me. And we all share that. We all share that, whether you're in education or not. We share the benefits of that. Whether we actually reflect on it and think about it, everybody may not do as much of that. But to me, it's part of the message that we need to give students where in actuality we're giving them maybe the opposite message. For instance, I ask a question to everybody. Some people are fortunate in their jobs and the kind of things they do, but for most people, if I ask them the question, if you forgot everything that was not directly related to your job, you could not know anything in life unless it's directly related to your job, most people would say, no way, I don't want any part of that, which means that we do want to learn more than just our job. So many times we tell kids, our focus, the message that we give kids is education is going to get you a good job. I ask kids all the time, how many of your parents tell you that? Raise your hand. Well, yeah, why are you in school? So I can get a good job. So what does that whole sequence mean? We tell kids here at 10 years old, work hard now, do your homework, so that you can go to high school and work some more and do some more homework, so that you can go to college and work some more, so that later you can get a good job and work some more.
Starts to sound pretty narrow, doesn't it?
Now, if I'm a 10-year-old, I don't know what you were doing at 10 years old, but 10, 12 years old, I'll listen to that and go, I can think of something better, because there's a lot of good stuff out there we want. But implicit in that message is saying that when I ask kids, well, what is a good job? What is that? It's a job you can make a lot of money and buy the good stuff. And there's that mistake, I think, because we teach people that what you can buy is the good stuff. Now, is that true or is it false? Hey, I'm not against all this stuff, don't get me wrong. But the ability to enjoy what we own is the good stuff, not that physical thing itself.
Yeah, great difference, and perhaps something we really ought to all be thinking about as we think of the impact that we're having on these young minds in telling them why they're getting an education.
I would hope so. It has to do with the whole moral and ethical and cultural tradition of Western civilization, and we want to pass that kind of stuff on to our kids of what really is valuable in life. I know people that may go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on stereo systems or VCRs or things like that, and you say, well, what does this thing do? And they say, well, I don't know. Here's how to turn it on and off. And they don't get the good stuff out of it. They don't enjoy it. The good stereos I enjoy that, and it helps me listen to music, and I can really focus in on the quality that those things can bring to us. But what I want kids to know is that this education and learning is more than just a job. We're here for more than just job training. And I think if we say to kids, you're here so that we can educate you so you can go to work, then we're not going to get the maximum from them. They're not going to put into it the maximum.
Paige, do you think that contributes to some of the disillusionment that starts to hit kids when they're in the middle school? That because we have, as a society, as you've mentioned, have focused so much on the job-related aspects of education, that rather than the fuller life that I hear you talking about, that as the kids' awareness starts to mature, say in that 6th to 8th grade that I've heard you talk about, that contributes to this disillusionment, that where suddenly it's not as neat anymore.
I think it probably does. I think that that as kids begin to think for themselves, they start going, there's got to be more to it than this. There's got to be more than this. If this is the track that I see for my future, that doesn't look that bright. That doesn't look that great. And so we've got to give them a message that track is bigger than what you're just seeing now. And we've got to give them that message from all sides.
Well, let's think about this for a moment. You've mentioned all the influences from society, whether the sort of the commercial society, the Beavis and Butthead, Hollywood, if you will, the community, the parents who, meaning well, may be sending a lot of these messages to the young people. And I guess the commercial aspects of our society are so much on, get money so that you can buy this, buy that, buy whatever. And so, of course, it's natural that getting an education so that you can get a job so you can buy stuff would flow from that. But now, as a principal of a middle school, what do you do, or what can you do? What are you trying to do to offset that sort of tidal wave of emphasis, so that the kids can look at more than just the job aspect, but look at the fuller life, so that they can get at the good stuff, as you call it?
I think this kind of thing right here, I think the one of the biggest things I can do is to talk about it, get people to change that mindset and to expand on that, so that when our school board and county commissioners and public makes decisions, they go, wait a minute, that good job stuff, that's important. Mortimer Adler says 3 good reasons for an education: good citizenship, jobs, and the richer and fuller life. Getting that job is important, and we want to do that, but we need to put the resources there to do more than that. When I hire, interview, talk with teachers, I look for people that have some sense of a richer and fuller life, rather than I call the do-nothing machines, where my teacher taught me this, I'm going to teach you this. Why? I don't know, because that's what we've always done. I look for people that have a life. I hired a guy at my school a couple years ago that skydives on the weekends and things like that. So, people that have a richer and fuller life are going to be more likely to convey that than somebody that doesn't. And so that's probably the core of my thrust in doing
So there's something that you can really do in a big way by selecting the kind of teachers then that display this richer, fuller life philosophy in their lives.
Yeah, it's not something you can learn in a textbook. I'm going to write a textbook, lesson 1 on richer and fuller life, but creating an environment around them that is richer and fuller. I'm glad to see our county doing some things with the building program in the schools. It used to bother me to see kids go into a school and it wasn't an attractive place, and they look at this, say, this is what education's about. Hey, I can think of something better. We need to give them an environment from people around them, from the physical structures they're around, that says this is good stuff. A good life will result from this stuff. And companies spend millions of dollars on commercials for those subtle psychological influences, and we got to be careful that we send the ones we want to our kids, not the ones we don't want.
Yes, I think that's an important consideration as we look at education, and perhaps we've, as a society, been too lax in thinking through those things, where, like you say, corporations that spend millions on advertising think about that every day.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break now. Please stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment with more discussion with Paige Murphy.
It's impossible to think about additives and preservatives in a place like this. Gold Kissed Farms chicken tastes fresh from the farm, because it is. While our owners aren't into flashy limos and vanity plates, they do enjoy having their name on the door. Farmer-owned Gold Kissed Farms chicken tastes fresh from the farm, because it is.
Do you know why some people don't volunteer? Most say it's because they were never asked. Well, we're asking. Many men and women 55 years and older are serving in your area through the Senior Corps' RSVP program. RSVP matches your interests and skills to what needs to get done in your community.
Our grandchildren have a right to clean water. That's why I'm teaching others how to test it.
Everyone's got something to offer.
There's lots of information in
It's
this.
a lot. I like this here. This is really something.
You catch on quick.
All right. Okay.
Kids have just got to be able to read.
When you join your efforts with others, your community will grow stronger. You've been thinking about helping out. Here's your opportunity. Call your local RSVP program or this toll-free number today and help us get things done.
I'm VIVAN Christman with Spotlight on Education. Welcome back. Today I'm joined with Paige Murphy from the West Lee Middle School. And we've been talking today about Paige's philosophies and his angle on education and what he's trying to do here within Lee County to influence education, particularly for the middle schools, in a positive way. Paige, one of the things as we've talked about trying to get kids to understand that education is more than just a job, and trying to get them to understand that it should help them to be able to reach out and enjoy a richer and fuller life.
Life can be more fun.
Yeah, okay, it's a good theme. As a principal in the middle school, I know one of the things that you must face is a lot of decisions on curriculum. And with the budget pressure that you talked about, trying to put on the cheapest set of used tires on this
Right.
educational bus, I guess, is possible. What are you able to do, or how much reach do you have in being able to influence the curriculum that the kids are exposed to?
The actual curriculum, what they learn, the racetrack that they cover, is decided by the state. The state has a standard course of study that is the basis, at least the minimum, for what we say is our curriculum. Fortunately, with North Carolina, we have an excellent curriculum. It is based on a guy named Marzano who talks about thinking skills as opposed to just, like I said, the do-nothing machine, learn this because we learned this.
The regurgitation.
Right. This curriculum is based on thinking, solving problems, gathering information, analyzing it, making decisions. Excellent curriculum, and excellent testing program that goes along with that. I have no quarrels with that. We talk about teaching to the test and whatever. Well, in North Carolina, if you're teaching to the test, you're teaching the curriculum. You're teaching kids how to think. You're teaching kids how to process. So that's good.
That sounds terrific.
That's good. There's no problem with that. So I don't really have to influence curriculum decisions, change one way or the other to get what I consider the good stuff in there. The way that comes about, again, back to that environment. A teacher can sit there and say, all right, we're going to process some stuff, and click, 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 and go through some stuff. Or they can say, hey, watch this. I'm going to light this stuff in this bottle, and I want you to make observations of this, and I want you to tell me and do some exciting, interesting things. So something that ignites that passion is what's going to get the richer and fuller life started, because then a kid is going to start putting himself into it. He's going to volunteer that extra time to sit there and think about that and wonder about it again, rather than just go, all right, she said this, write it down and go with it.
Okay, so it's really expanding on what sounds like an already very positive curriculum.
Yes, yes.
Well, we're fortunate in North Carolina then to have that as our base to work from.
I think so. I think it's a very fruitful base.
So then from there you try to select teachers that have the right expression, I guess, of personality or of the good stuff.
Right.
And okay, let me switch for just a moment, Paige, and ask you to address one other idea. As you look out across the community, we have a lot of parents, hopefully parents, grandparents, and others, maybe just interested people who are interested in education here in the community. What would you encourage them to do if they want to be part of this educational experience and to help young people to prepare themselves to experience the good stuff?
Start off with parents. Parents with new children, read to your child. Read to your child. Read to your child. When they get 6 years old, read to your child. When they get 10 years old, read to your child. I would say that if you haven't read somewhere in the neighborhood of 700-800 books to your child by the time they're 4 years old, ready to start some sort of school, you're going to be behind. I'm not talking about necessarily books that thick, but the little story books and so forth.
Okay.
Reading, very important. Talk to your children. Really talk to your children about what's important. Share this. What'd you learn in school today? Nothing? No. Tell me what you learned.
Okay.
And then people in the community, school board, county commissioners, tell them we want a richer and fuller life for our kids, not just the middle road.
All right. And I assume that there are volunteer programs that an individual who perhaps does not have children at home anymore, or as a single individual, could be involved in?
There are a number of tutoring programs of volunteer. Come and sit down with your child, with a student at school who may be high risk, who hasn't had the good stuff yet, and come in and sit down and talk with them, read to them, share with them, help them with some lessons, and do it in a way that's positive and exciting.
Okay. Well, that sounds terrific. It's been a pleasure today having you join us on the program and to hear about some of your philosophies about education, and really philosophies much more about life than just about education. And for all of you in our audience, we hope that you have enjoyed being with us today as we've explored with Paige Murphy the philosophies of education and the philosophies of life that have drawn him to education. We're lucky to have him here in Lee County, and we wish you every success as you go out and try to help the students who will one day become the leaders in this community to enjoy the good stuff. Thank you very much, and we hope you all enjoy the good stuff. Hello, I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN, your host for Spotlight on Education. Each week, we will take time to spotlight a different person who's involved in the educational experience here in Lee County. This morning, we're at Greenwood Elementary, where behind us, you can hear the start of the very special Arts Festival. This is sponsored by the Council for Exceptional Children. And today the theme for this year's program is The World is a Rainbow. I'm joined today by Sheila West, who is the co-chair of the festival. Sheila, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Thank you. And it looks like there's been a lot of work and preparation gone into getting ready for this year's event.
Yes, it's been very exciting. The kids have just practiced to the fullest, and they've enjoyed it so much, and they're on top of the world this morning.
That's great. Well, before we turn and talk about you a little bit, tell me a little bit more about this festival. How many children are here today, and where all do they come from?
There are about 300 children, and they come from all over the county, elementary schools in our county, and then the 2 middle schools.
Okay, so there's no high school students here. It just ends with middle school.
Right, just the middle school and the elementary levels. Also, our separate day school, Floydale Night School, they're involved in this activity also. The children are exceptional children here in Lee County, and they do represent each one of the schools.
Well, that's great. It's fun to be here today. It's nice when we're able to get out on location and shoot one of these things live. I don't know whether our audience at home can hear the noise in the background as these kids are excited to be here and I guess getting all ready for the morning's events. Let's turn for a moment, though, and talk about Sheila and talk about you, your background, and how you happen to get involved in education and then more specifically how you got involved with exceptional children. Tell about your background a little, if you will, please.
Okay, I've always been around children. Growing up, I was the neighborhood babysitter. I enjoyed playing with the kids and doing activities with children. I have plenty of nieces and nephews, and I now have a 4-year-old, and I'm actually expecting another child in September.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. It is early news, so a lot of people don't know yet. So we're real excited about that, my husband and I. And growing up, I enjoyed being with children at school. I loved school. I guess you could say I enjoyed being the teacher's pet.
That is not the experience I had. I did not like school, so it's fun when I meet people that actually enjoyed that experience as a child.
I was a teacher pleaser, and I often looked to some of the other kids that were having difficulty, and I wanted to help them. I wanted to reach out to them, and that was my first early experience with children. As I got older, I became involved with a cousin of mine that has a handicapping condition, and further became interested in especially the area of exceptional children. And then I went on to school. I went to Campbell University and then transferred to East Carolina and then got my master's degree at Fayetteville State University.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from right here in Sanford, and I've grown up here. My parents raised my whole family here. I have there's 4 of us. I have a brother and 2 sisters.
Well, that must make it even more special to be involved in this kind of a program right at home where you have your roots and background and foundation.
It is special to me. The kids in Lee County are the best, and I enjoy them. I do.
Well, that's terrific. I think anyone that works with you, and one of the reasons that I believe that your principal out at Tramway suggested that we talk with you is that love for those kids that comes out, and it's real clear to see that as I've worked with you in preparation for this program.
Okay. I enjoy working with Mr. Jackson at Tramway Elementary. It is our only year-round school here in Lee County, and I just wanted to mention, it's a great school.
Well, Sheila, let me ask you a couple of questions about your, since you've made the career choice to be involved in education and more specifically with these exceptional children. What kind of goals do you have or sort of long-range plans or desires of dreams from as an educator to reach and touch these children?
You want to help build a child's future, to help them do the best that they can do to their potential. And that's what we look for, day to day, helping the children do the best they can each day. And if they do make mistakes, and fall back, not discouraging them, but letting them know that that happens and you'll do better tomorrow. There's always tomorrow.
Oh, that's a nice theme. One of the things this morning as we were setting up and bringing in the TV equipment, we noticed how friendly these children are. Every one of them we passed on the sidewalk, made an effort to say good morning, and it wasn't just, like something they'd been told to do. I was impressed by how genuine and how outgoing they were. Is that pretty common?
That is common. They enjoy people. As you know, all children enjoy attention, and we want it to be positive attention. So we strive with the kids to help them learn how to gain positive attention. And that's one of the first things that they learn is if they greet somebody and say hello and smile, they typically get it back.
Well, that's interesting. So that is actually one of the things that you folks work to train these kids or to teach these kids or maybe to guide them in that direction.
We do, and a lot of people think that these children, or they call these children needy children. And at times, yes, they are needy, but we're trying to teach them not to be so needy, that they can do the best that they can do, and people will respect them for that. So a big part of it is teaching them self-esteem and how to respect themselves. And then once they see that, others start respecting them back.
So as an educator, how do you work with self-esteem with children like this? That must take a very special gift to be able to help a child like this. What's Sheila West's approach to that?
I think challenge would be a good tip. If you just challenge the kids without frustration, and you have to weigh that. Because lots of times you do see the frustration. It creeps up. But that's when you have to realize, okay, it's time to step back and build on the success that they have. And then that way they can further have success. But once they have that frustration, back up and then go forward when they start succeeding again and push them as much as you can.
Well, that must be one of the things that I noticed that in watching you with your students there at Tramway when we were talking to prepare for this, I noticed the level of attention you were putting on the children was very, very high. A lot of eye contact, a lot of watching very closely, and I guess that's to watch when they begin to show signs of frustration and such.
Yeah, just good supervision. That way you can catch them or help them if they are falling back. Sometimes just walking into the classroom will change their point of view. Oh, I know what Miss West expects from me. That's right. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do this so that I can be the best that I can be.
Well, that's terrific. As you work with these kids and think about a program like this, what kind of things could parents or guardians or just interested volunteers in the community do to help with the work you do with exceptional children?
Well, I know that you're a mentor, and that's an excellent program, of course, and also like a volunteer, a buddy type system is great too, if you can be a buddy or a pal, big brother, big sister to a child in need. Also, just parents in general, to support their child. The hardest thing of all is to be a good role model. I found that out when I had my first child. It's interesting what you want to be as a parent, but what actually happens in reality. So I know that that's difficult, but just being that role model in support of education. Show your children that you read. So show your children that you don't know everything, that you're learning every day just like they are.
Okay, terrific. Well, we're going to take a short break right now and want to share a word from our sponsors. Let me first of all mention that Spotlight on Education is brought to you by the Santa Lee Rotary Club. The Santa Lee Rotary Club is the youngest and smallest Rotary Club in Lee County, and as with all Rotary Clubs and Rotary International, our objective is to put service above self. as we look for ways to improve the community that we live in. As a club, we've explored lots of ways to improve our community, and the Sanley Rotary Club selected education to be its specific focus. We raise money for various educational related activities, as well as sponsoring the Spotlight on Education. Thank you very much, and for those of you in the community, if you see people who give of their time to make our community better, please take time to stop and say thanks. That's a small thing that each of us can do to reach out and bring our community closer together. Thank you, and we'll be back after this word from our sponsors.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds, Pontiac, GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away, so
What
I
is
didn't...
this? Pizza? What? A pizza?
If you had just called me, I would have
Dinner,
known what...
dinner ready is a pizza.
I didn't know you'd be so late.
Let me ask you something. Is it too much to have dinner waiting when I go home?
Please don't be so loud.
Don't tell me what to do. You shut up.
I thought you'd be home
I can get
earlier.
pizza at work.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll do something better. I'll fix you
do
something now.
better.
Let go of me.
Get in the kitchen.
No.
Well, it hurts. Do you want to see what hurts? That's what hurts. That's what hurts. Now get up and clean up this mess. Shut up.
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. Oh, please.
For information, call 1-800-END-ABUSE.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN Christman, your host, and today we're at Greenwood Elementary School with a very special experience that's going on here behind us. We're at the very special Arts Festival, and this year their theme is The World is a Rainbow. And this is sponsored by the Council for Exceptional Children. Joining me today is Sheila West, who is a teacher of these exceptional children. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And in a few moments, we're going to be joined by a young man who is one of the students, Logan Jackson. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, welcome to our program today.
Thanks.
Are you excited about being here today?
Yes.
Good. Now, where do you go to school, Logan?
Tramway Elementary.
Do you like going to school there?
Kind of.
That's the way I always felt about school, just kind of. That's a good, honest answer. I understand that Miss West is your teacher.
Yes.
So you're just new into that school, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, tell me, what's your favorite part of school?
Math.
Math. Wow. I didn't like math when I was your age. What is it about math that you like so much?
I mean, I just like it. Just don't know.
It just makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but math comes easy for him.
Wow, that's neat. It's fun to find those things that we're naturally good at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, good. What are you going to do? Do you have a part on the program today?
I'm gonna be in the Dragon Head.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Are you guys gonna sing a song, or what are you going to do?
After we finish the dragon, we're gonna lay it down. Then we're gonna sing the last song, I think.
Well, that sounds fun. Have you been practicing this for a while?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
good with signs. We're doing some of the signs and some hand motions to the songs, and he's a real good leader for some of the other kids for that particular song.
Well, that's fantastic. Do you enjoy helping the other kids as well?
Yes.
Well, that's good. Well, we want to thank you for joining us here today, and we'll look forward in a few minutes to seeing you on stage. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Well, Sheila, he looks like a very, very wonderful child. I bet he's fun to have in class.
He is. He's a sweet child.
Well, that's good. And just a few minutes, and I guess you guys are on stage.
Yes, we're getting a little excited.
Well, Sheila, before we leave, and to let the audience know, in a few moments we'll be taking our last break, and then the rest of the segment today will be filmed showing the kids on stage and performing in their various, performances that they've spent a lot of time preparing for.
Right, they have. They've worked real hard.
Okay, I'd like to, you've been involved in teaching these special kids for some time, and I wonder, in the time that you've spent doing that, you must have some stories of success stories of kids where you feel that all the work and energy that you put in has made a difference in some child's life, where perhaps you've seen them, really change or respond to something you've done. And I wondered if you'd care to share any stories like that about any of these kids.
Well, I've been teaching for 13 years, and all 13 have been in an exceptional children's program. Each day brings a new adventure. I guess the biggest success you have is built on the experiences you've had the year before or 5 years before that with another child. That child will help you with the next child to know what works, to help you know what not to do and what to do. So experience, I think, is the biggest part of being successful with children and helping them be successful. There is one child in particular at Tramway now. He was at Ingram, at our school, at Ingram when I taught there also. I didn't teach him at that particular time, but he was very interesting to watch. He had a hard time at school, and when he came to Tramway this year, you could tell he had really held on to what he had learned from Ingram. He transferred over to the new school very well, but then he had his ups and downs at Tramway too. He's really hanging in there right now, and he's here today, and he has been so excited all morning. He sang karaoke this morning on the stage, and I had to take a picture of that, and I was beaming all over. When you came in, I was about to burst because of that one child singing karaoke. When you see him at school having such a hard time, to know that how special this is for him today.
Well, your love for these kids has got to make such an incredible difference. I think more than anything else, the teachers that I remember from my growing up years weren't the ones, I'm sure, that had the best degrees or any of that. I don't have any idea. I didn't care. But it was the ones that had the ability to reach out and touch and make a difference. And it's clear that you have that love for these kids. And I think, that's part of what makes the educational experience in Lee County so wonderful, is because of folks like you and your dedication and your love for what you do. It's really unique.
Well, thank you for showing your appreciation, for the teachers in our county and for the children.
Well, it's really my pleasure. It's a wonderful experience to get to know people and see the difference that's being made. Education isn't just about statistics, and we hear so much about that now on the radio and television, and I think the important thing to remember is that we're lucky in this county. We have real people out here making a real difference. Well, we're getting ready to go to a break now, and for those of you watching today, we hope you're enjoying this. We'll break now for a word from our sponsors, and then when we come back up, we'll be looking at the program that's going on and watching these very exceptional kids as they go about sharing with each other and with those who are here in the audience today programs that they've spent a lot of time working on. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds Pontiac GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Shut up! Please, don't get like this. Please, just don't get like... Don't get like what? No, come here. Don't get like what? I didn't mean anything. It's just to get so angry. That's enough from you. Enough! Enough! Ow! Enough! That's enough! I'm gonna give you something to scream about. Get over here! Get up! I can't. I'm talking to you. Get up! I can't get it off. Don't do this. Don't do this. Stop crying! You're asking for it again! No!
For information about how you can help stop domestic violence, call us.
Hello, I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN, your host for Spotlight on Education. We're today at the Council for Exceptional Children's program, The World is a Rainbow, and we're getting ready to see a performance by the Tramway Elementary School Exceptional Children. We'd like to thank everyone today for joining us as we've watched this very special program of the exceptional children. We're at Greenwood Elementary today, where they're celebrating a festival of the arts for these children. They've all prepared. You've had an opportunity today to see part of it. Thank you. Join us Thursdays at 7:30 and other times during the week. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds, Pontiac, GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Hello, I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN, your host for Spotlight on Education. Each week we take time to spotlight a different individual involved in Lee County education. Our objective is to take an in-depth look at the people involved in education to better understand the human side of our county and our country's greatest social investment, education. Joining me today is Pam Bill. Pam was recently elected as the 1998-1999 Teacher of the Year. She was also elected as the North Carolina English Teacher of the Year. Pam teaches sophomore English at Lee County High School, Lee Senior High, excuse me, and we're in her classroom that is filled with very interesting artwork and a number of other things. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you.
I'm glad you could come to my classroom.
It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to start by hearing a little bit about you. Tell us about your background, how maybe your childhood, how you happened to become attracted to a career in education.
All right, are you ready for a long story? Yeah. Well, my parents certainly influenced me into becoming a teacher, so I want to give them credit right off. My father had an accident when he was, right after the war, when he came home to be a farmer, and he had an accident on the tractor and lost his right leg. And so in his recuperative time at home for several years, going through different surgeries trying to save it, I was a baby. And he would lift me up, so my mother and he say, onto his stomach and teach me everything I know, so he says. He taught me my ABCs, my colors, told me stories, and so that was the beginning of it, I suppose. My mother and my maternal grandmother also loved storytelling and always helped us with our homework, and my maternal grandmother read every book I read from grade 1 on through, and then we would talk about it, and so she was a great influence.
Wow.
Another thing that I should say is I'm the oldest of 7 children, so I always say I'm a teacher by birthright, because you know, if you're the oldest of 7 children, you're doing teaching all the time. My 3rd grade teacher, Miss Compton, I will never forget, and I give her credit probably for my becoming an English teacher. And maybe I even knew in the 3rd grade that I would be an English teacher.
No kidding.
Yeah, she would read us stories during nap time. In fact, she read books, not just stories, but I still remember that she read the entire book, Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. She read The Secret Garden and all the Heidi stories and the Pollyanna stories, and all through the year, every day we'd hear another chapter or 2 during nap time. And so I learned to love stories, and I went everywhere in the world with Miss Compton through those stories. So I think I knew then that I wanted to be a teacher of stories, and that translated into my being a high school English teacher. So that's a little bit about how I became a teacher. I had lots of other good teachers through the years that influenced me, and I think that always is a key factor in whether somebody becomes a teacher or not, is that a teacher or a parent was key in that. 6 of us are teachers.
6?
6 of us siblings are teachers.
6 of the 7 ended up going into teaching.
And one of them is a teacher too, but she just does it in the capacity of a minister. She's an associational minister for United Church of Christ in Florida, and it's over 80-some churches, so she does lots of teaching in that respect. But the rest of us are teachers from middle school all the way through high school. So
No kidding. What a heritage.
Right? It's wonderful heritage. Yes,
That is wonderful.
My grandmother did some teaching, my maternal grandmother, during the war, even though she never had a college education because the need for teachers was so great. And so she got to teach a little anyway, even though she never really got to make that her career. So
that's fantastic.
yeah, it's a good story about how to become a teacher.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Piedmont, North Carolina, in Rowan County on a dairy farm. So that was a good teaching experience too. We had about 150 acres at our disposal. We often, now that we're all grown, talk about how we all survived, because we had playground of 150 acres, and you know, how we ever escaped being bitten by snakes and all. We just jumped over them, you know, instead of being frightened by them. But cotton fields and dairy farming, that was a real part of my heritage, and I think it made me the independent and strong person that I am today.
What a terrific background for getting into education. I'm sure that gives you a lot of stories to draw from and ideas.
It gives me so many that I'm writing a book right now in which I'm compiling memories of my childhood, and I actually have 2 volumes going. One's called the Granny Fanny Stories, which my students here at school are interested in hearing about, and they're based on my paternal grandmother and all her visits to our house during canning corn and canning peaches and those kinds of things, season in the summer. And she was quite a personality, so she makes a good story character. And then I'm doing another series called The Sweet Stories, based on my maternal grandmother, and her last name was Sweet before she was married. And so those are about her. So yes, they're wonderful stories, and they just give me all kinds of good ideas for my classroom and to share with my students today. And we talked at the beginning of this year about my students' literary heritage. And I think they never really quite thought that they had a literary heritage, but they all brought in anecdotes as an assignment that their mother or father or grandmother told them. And then we have worked those into short stories. So they've taken those as a basis and put them in a short story form now, which is exactly the way literature comes to be.
Yeah. When did you discover that the story was such a powerful way to teach? I mean, it sounds like it started there in the 3rd grade, but there must have been some other connections along the way.
Well, I think that I actually discovered it during my student teaching in college, you know, to actually pinpoint a time, having known it all along, but having come to the recognition of it during student teaching, because once you're in the classroom and you have this dynamic relationship going on every day with students, those stories just come natural to you to tell and to share, and I learned very quickly what magic they had on getting students' attention, and so it's just grown more and more and more through the years as I've taught.
Yeah, it's powerful. I know in my own case, I was not a good student during all the years in the grades, but the teachers that I remember and the subjects that I remember are the ones that told stories.
Oh, yes.
And that's what always connected with me. So I've got to believe that it's got to be very powerful when you're using that as an everyday medium to...
Well, you know, education, and especially I think opportunity in teaching literature, is based on human experience. It is human experience, and that's where human experience is. It's in our stories. So I love to tell them. I have students coming in every day saying, tell us another story today, Miss Bill, about something you did as a child or something you did in high school. And sometimes I, try to work in a little glib of one of them anyway. But I like to try to get my students to understand the wealth of knowledge that they can find in reading the stories and how they connect to history and how they're so much a part of who people are in a cultural context as well. And a lot of them come into my class saying they don't like to read. They're not good readers. They don't want to read. So we work on that, and say, yes, this is good. This is so good. You need to read this story. And we read a lot in my classroom out loud and just share, why is this so important? What does this character mean and how does he connect to you and what's the universal experience here? And I find that as the semester goes on, many students who didn't like to read now are reading and are carrying books into my classroom that aren't required, and just finding a real joy in it. And so many of them become writers, which is marvelous to see. They write their own stories, and they're so excited about being published, which is another thing I need to talk about. I just got a grant to publish a volume of student writing, so my students this semester will all get to contribute a poem. It's actually a book of poetry to this publication, and we do it over the internet. So it's being fed to a New York company via internet, and by April 15 it will be complete, and then we will have a real book with a real cover and real binding, and the students are just really excited about that.
What a powerful way to get kids interested in a subject that many of us, probably found more boring than we should have.
Well, yeah, I suppose some of them enter this classroom with the idea that English is a little boring, but they find out immediately on the first day that maybe even if they still perceive English as boring, the English classroom is not going to be boring, not with all the stories that we have to tell and share.
Well, looking around your classroom there,
last year one day, and he looked up at me and said, "You're the art teacher, huh?" I said,
I know the way he felt.
"No, I'm not the art teacher. I'm an English teacher, but English is an art."
That's great. Terrific. Well, let me come back to you personally. How did you happen to choose Lee County?
There's a story there, too. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
I was actually teaching in Whiteville City Schools, and my sister, who teaches here also, actually she's a media specialist here, called me one day and said, "Pam, a woman's going to call you, and I thought I should tell you it's my fault. She happened to mention today that we need a drama teacher." And I told her, "Well, my sister teaches drama." And she said, "Can I call her? So you'll be getting a call probably from this lady, even though you have no reason to want to move." And I said, "No, I certainly don't have a reason to want to move. I have a reputation established here already and a good drama program and English program." But she called, and I thought, why not look at it? And so I came and looked at the situation, and here I am, 12 years later, having taught drama here for 6 years and then moving back into my first love, English, full-time.
It's neat that that you chose this area. That you're here for no reason other than that you chose to come here and contribute. We're going to pause for a moment and take a short break for a word from our sponsors. Let me also say that Spotlight on Education is sponsored by the Santa Lee Rotary Club. Putting service above self, the Santa Lee Rotary Club is committed to improving the communities we live in. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few moments with more of Spotlight on Education.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
You're gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds Pontiac GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Everyone plays a part when it comes to school bus safety. Keeping our kids safe takes teamwork. Parents, a trusted adult should be at the bus stop every morning and afternoon. Kids, always stay out of the road. Make sure you can see the bus driver's eyes. And when you get on or off, wait for the bus to stop.
And drivers, when the bus stops, you stop.
Help protect our children.
It's a team effort.
Can we help?
A smoke detector can save your life and the lives of your family. Check your batteries today. A message from the North Carolina Department of Crime Control and Public Safety.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN CHRISTMAN, your host. Joining me today is Pam Bill, the 1998-1999 Teacher of the Year and teacher of sophomore English at Lee Senior High. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Pam, we talked earlier about your background and how you happened to become involved in education and come here to Lee County. Mm-hmm. We'd be interested in hearing a little bit about your philosophies on teaching and education and how you try to bring that into the classroom and to reach your students.
Okay, I can talk about that for a long time, longer than we have on air, I'm afraid. First of all, I believe that all students can learn. I believe, though, that students do not all learn in the same way, and that it's important to recognize that, and that there are different styles of learning and different ways that each of us connect to learning. So I try to touch on that in the ways that I integrate a lot of different activities into my classroom.
So if students all learn in a different way, are there some things that you do specifically to reach that range of students?
And there are definite things. First thing we do is we talk about that, and we consciously become aware that each of us has our own way to learn, and we try to determine what that is. And most students have never thought about that before, but I think by the time they're in the 10th grade, they can think about that and look at their own learning habits and go, oh yeah, I do well visually, or I do better if I write it down, or I'm better if I can actually connect a project to it. So you see lots of projects in my classroom, and that's because I think that anytime a student can have a hands-on experience with something that they're reading about in literature, or whether it's in a science lab or whatever, science does a good job of that, so we should be able to do that in English classroom too. So if they can have a hands-on experience, then they are more likely to remember it and to learn from it than they are if it is still just black printed words on a white page. And so we do things like the window of the world behind me. This is really a collection of CD cases. And my daughter was throwing these away last Christmas. She had cleaned out her CDs and had put them all into these carrying cases and didn't need the plastic cases anymore. She said, "Mom, this is trash, throw it away." But my being the drama teacher that I am, saw treasure in that trash and turned it into something marvelous. I thought, surely there's something we can do with this. So it took about 2 months, but one day on the way home from school, it occurred to me, about the time I hit Wicker and Horner Boulevard intersection, I know what we can do with these CD cases. If you can paint on glass, you can paint on plastic. So I went to Walmart, I bought glass paint, and I tried it out, and it worked. So I brought them to school, and I told every student to get a CD case, to draw around it and make a template, to come up with a symbol from a piece of world literature that we had studied as a class or one they had read individually, or a symbol of a world culture or a world religion, and to design it on that piece of paper. Then we took black pen and we transferred that to the CD case itself, and we used paint and painted it.
So these weren't the actual images that were on the CDs. These
Oh,
are
no,
their own
no.
creations
These are their-
based on something that they had read.
Right, exactly. Their own creations, and some of them who said, "I'm not an artist." You know, so it doesn't matter if you're not an artist. You're going to be surprised at what happens here, because all we want are real simple significance, you know, graphic designs, and you can copy it out of a book if you need to. So some of them actually went to the Xerox machine and blew some up that they had found in the book, which is fine. But we all painted, and some of them glued beads on it or added glitter or whatever they wanted to, and then they designated what the symbol means. For instance, the Egyptian Sphinx, and here's Kokopelli. Time, and they were truly amazed at how pretty they were. So then we thought, well, we should glue these together and make a window. So we did. I investigated with a hobby shop what kind of glue would hold these together, and it just took shape. It sort of grew. It had a life of its own, and we were so pleased with it, we thought we should frame it. So we framed it, and now it has traveled. It won English Fair here. It won Best of Show at the Tri-County English Fair. It spent last summer in the central office of the schools so people could see it. It's had residence in Mr. Gilmore's office here. It's been in the media center. And finally back to my room, and my students don't want to let it go anymore. They're so proud of it.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, so we're very, very pleased with that.
So it sounds like it's certainly had a lot of visibility and publicity. What did it do to the lives of the kids?
It gave them such a sense of pride that they can see a product that they have made, and it also made a very, very indelible impression and connection to the piece of literature that they actually represented in their graphic design. So they'll never forget it. They still come in here, because these were students from last year, they come in here now and point theirs out and say, "That's mine, I did that one." No.
What an incredible approach. I can understand that your students must be very excited about coming to this class.
They're always asking, when's our next project? Or what are we going to do? We heard what last semester students did. What are we going to do?
They want to be better than last year's.
Oh, they want to do something to make sure they have their turns.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we'll be right back in a few moments. We're going to take a short break now for a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more Spotlight on Education.
Have you ever had the opportunity to enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of mountain spring water from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains? If so, you know it's the most satisfying refreshment nature can provide. That same satisfaction can now be delivered to your home or business by Smith's Mountain Bottled Water. You no longer need to travel to the mountains for cool, refreshing spring water. Call Smith's Mountain Bottled Water Service today at 776-5611 to find out about their special introductory offer and start enjoying the fresh, clean taste of spring water from a local company with a mountain connection.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
We're positive.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds, Pontiac, GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away, so
what
I
is
didn't...
this? Pizza? What, a pizza?
If you had just called me, I would have known what...
Dinner ready is a pizza.
I didn't know you'd be so late.
Let me ask you something. Is it too much to have dinner waiting when I go home?
Please don't be so loud.
Don't tell me what to do! You shut up!
I thought you'd be home
I can get
earlier.
pizza at work!
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll do something better. I'll fix you something now.
better!
Let go of me!
Get in the kitchen!
No!
Well, it hurts! Do you want to see what hurts? That's what hurts! That's what hurts!
Stop.
Now get up and clean up this mess! Shut up!
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. Oh, please.
For information, call 1-800-END-ABUSE.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Education. I'm VIVAN Christman. I'm joined today by Pam Bill, who's the sophomore English teacher at Lee Senior High. And we're holding a book that was a project of last semester's students in her class. We're going to let her tell us a little bit about this project and the way it touched the lives of her students.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that. This is called Great Books, a Visual Anthology, and what happened was each student had read a different book for a research paper, and once they had their research papers done and understood the real lessons in the book, we did an artistic rendition of the books that they had read. So each person had a sheet of paper like this, and we dedicated it to the authors who inspired us and decided to call our little publishing company Students Who Actually Read. So they actually read the books, and I know that for a fact. But each person then had to come up with a unifying device that represented the book and the lesson that it had to teach. And then they needed to find 4 or 5 concrete objects to represent the story and just paint this. So they got on their knees in the classroom and took this paper and without any lines drawn, just picked up paintbrushes and did this. And it turned out just so wonderfully well. This is a really nice rendition of a theme about women and their need for independence in Bluebeard's Egg, a collection of stories by Margaret Atwood, who's a Canadian author. And this is one based on Tartuffe by Molière, an old French play. And the student who read this really enjoyed learning about that style of slapstick drama and that time period in French history. This is one called Babette's Feast and Other Anecdotes by Isaac Dennison, who is from Denmark, and a collection of stories that girls especially like to read because she has a lot of themes that have to do with females too. Here's one called The Plague. Students always love to read Albert Camus, and they're fascinated, with those gory stories about the bubonic plague and what it did to people, and so here's one representation of that. And I could go through this whole book. Here's one Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Solzhenitsyn, the Russian author who spent 18 years of his life in America, and the students are real interested to know that he had to escape for political freedom to America. And so it's a marvelous collection. Every student I taught has one in here, and they said they had such fun, and they connected even more with their books, and they'll never forget their books because of this project. They'll always remember what they did, and they said they felt like kindergarten students again. And I think that's wonderful, because I think that one thing that happens to students throughout our educational system is they lose that excitement and enthusiasm that they had when they first entered school. I'm not sure what we do to them, but we need to find out how to undo that. We put them in straight rows, I suppose, and tell them, do this work, read this story, answer these questions, and we forget. And so I try to bring that excitement and enthusiasm back into the classroom by having them do this, and they all benefit so much from it.
Yeah, this is such a novel approach. It's so different than any English experience that I ever had growing
That's
up.
what lots of people say.
No wonder the students are excited, and you can certainly see it here. Did you restrict what they read, or were they at liberty to?
Well, within the English 2 curriculum, they have to read from World Lit, which means that we exclude British and American, but other than that, the world is at their bidding. So.
Well, Pam, what influence have you seen that this style of education has had in your students?
Well, I think the best way to answer that is that I have quite a few students out there in the world of teaching now who say they teach the Bill way. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm glad when I get their notes and their phone calls that say, Miss Bill, I used your idea, or Miss Bill, can you tell me what I could do to enliven the teaching of this book in my classroom. I actually have 2 colleagues here in this department at Lee Senior High School who are former students of mine.
No kidding.
Right, and it's just a joy to have that new relationship with them, and we're having such a good time together.
Okay, thank you for joining us today, Pam, and thank you for joining us with Spotlight on Education.
Well, I'm positive you're going to love their prices.
And we're positive you'll like this combination. Big rebates and low interest rates. Buy now and get financing as low as 0.9%. And Wilkinson Cadillac Olds has a huge selection of new Cadillacs, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. Plenty of program cars, too.
Gonna love it at Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Cadillac Olds, Pontiac, GMC on US 1 just north of Sanford.
Hey, you want to make a difference and make new friends?
Me?
Try volunteering.
Are you into it?
Call 4-H or check out our website at areyouintoit.com.
software free. WWJD is a must-have for your music collection. And if you're a parent of a teen, WWJD is the perfect gift for all the right reasons. Call now 1-888-43...